Once thought to be the greatest Green Lantern of all time, Sinestro became one of the most feared villains in the universe, and a constant thorn in the side of Hal Jordan, John Stewart, and the rest of the Green Lantern Corps. Originally the only wielder of the Yellow Lantern ring, Sinestro created his own corps based on the concept of fear, the Yellow Lantern Corps. So with this in mind, I'm Dan from What Culture, and here are 10 things every DC Comics fan forgets about Sinestro. Number 10. The Sinestro Core has their own oath. The oath has become one of the most recognizable aspects of the Lanterns. Recitation of the oath is generally done during the charging of the rings, which happens once every 24 hours for most ring bearers. Each oath is specific to the color on the emotional spectrum that recites it. Hal Jordan began to use the familiar Green Lantern oath when charging his ring, and eventually found that all lanterns used a similar one, although there were changes based on culture, sensory issues, and more. It was discovered with the emotional spectrum that each core had an oath. The oath for the Sinestro Core is especially sinister because it talks of great fear and extols Sinestro's might specifically. Number 9. Gardner used Sinestro's ring for a time. At the end of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, Sinestro was executed by the Guardians and his spirit was held within the central power battery. John Stewart charged his ring directly from the battery, and a malfunction allowed Sinestro to free himself and briefly invade Stewart's mind. After being ejected, Sinestro's spirit wandered Oa aimlessly for a time. Former Green Lantern Gardner was on Oa to steal Sinestro's ring from the crypt of the Green Lanterns, and Sinestro rose up to battle Gardner, but Guy won and got away with the ring. The Guardians eventually recaptured Sinestro's spirit and returned it to the battery. Guy had a bit of trouble with the yellow ring, however. He did not read or speak Quadian, so he didn't understand what the ring was saying to him. They instead developed an instinctual understanding of each other. Also, the ring had no battery to charge it, but instead got its charge from battling a Green Lantern ring. This wasn't information Gardner had at first, and then a Parallax-possessed Hal Jordan came and took Gardner's ring to add it to his collection. Number 8. Skill and will. Sinestro had a number of skills that have nothing to do with his Yellow Lantern ring. In addition to his genius intellect, Sinestro was said to be specifically attuned to what those around him feared. Even without employing any ring power to augment the skill, Sinestro could center on a person's fear and use it to manipulate and intimidate them. Sinestro had superior leadership skills and was a master tactician and an unparalleled hand-to-hand combatant. He had regularly taken on a number of lanterns at once by himself, and in a group of people where willpower was a benchmark of greatness, Sinestro was considered to possess the most indomitable will of any being in all of the universe. This determination was made by the Guardian's living embodiment of willpower, Ion. Despite his fall from grace, there was probably a reason why Sinestro was once considered the greatest Green Lantern of all time. Number 7. He's a team player. In addition to his own Sinestro Core and his former affiliation with the Green Lantern Corps, Sinestro was a member of a number of different supervillain teams made mostly of Earth-based villains, whose involvement brought him in direct confrontation with the Justice League. Sinestro has been a member of the Secret Society of Supervillains, the Injustice League, and most recently Sinestro joined nearly every costumed villain currently active in the Society, a group created by Alexander Luthor of Earth 3, who was posing as Earth 1's Lex Luthor. The Society was created to work together, coordinate, and make the heroes pay for the perceived mind wipes of villains by the Justice League. Number 6. Sinestro's ring comes from another dimension. To punish Sinestro for his crimes on Karugor, the Guardians banished him to the planet Quad in the Antimatter universe. There, he met the Weaponers, who were a group of engineers, designers, and weapons makers in the community. Sinestro told them about the Green Lantern rings and their necessary yellow impurity. The Weaponers then created the yellow ring and the power battery to charge it. The yellow rings created yellow energy constructs, usually based on some aspect of the emotion of fear. The rings also created energy blasts with varying degrees of force. The stronger the will of the user, the greater the blast. Additionally, the ring created force fields and bubbles that protect the user from harm and allow them to fly in space without the benefit of a ship. The ring has also created wormholes, spatial warps, and has engaged in limited time travel. Number 5. the New 52. After Flashpoint, when the DC Universe found itself rebooted in the New 52, Sinestro found himself with a Green Lantern ring once again. The Guardians saw this as an opportunity for Sinestro to redeem himself, and with the help of Hal Jordan, he disassembled his own Sinestro Core. At one point, the Indigo Tribe forced an Indigo ring on Sinestro, but Jordan was able to get them to free him into his custody. Then, the Guardians turned and instructed the Black Hand to kill Jordan and Sinestro. As they felt their energy waning, they fused their rings together and sent it off for help. The pair was banished to the Dead Zone. There, they encountered the deceased Green Lantern, Tomar Ray, who asked them to stop Volthoom, the first Lantern. Sinestro was able to escape, acquire a Green Lantern ring, and return to Karuga to prepare to battle Volthoom. The entity consumes the hopes and fears of the people and destroys the entire planet. Sinestro is discovered in the rubble by Star Sapphire and the White Lantern Kyle Rayner. However, Rayner was unable to resurrect the planet with his power, and Sinestro reclaims his yellow ring and goes off to gain his revenge. Number 4. The Blackest Knight. An alliance between the old Green Lantern villain, Black Hand, and the entity Necron saw the dead rise as members of the Black Lantern Corps, an event that Sinestro's mentor, Abin Sur, had long feared. Necron summoned the embodiment of the life force into the universe, called the Entity. Sinestro entered the Entity and emerged as a being of white energy who was in harmony with every being in the universe. During the battle with Necron, Sinestro was killed, but he was healed by the Entity. Sinestro could then become the true guardian of the universe, but his own egotistical nature made him unable to retain the White Lantern energy. He reclaimed the yellow energy, and the Lanterns worked together to separate Necron from the energy that powers the Black Lantern, and his armies expired again. Number 3. The Sinestro Core. The return of Hal Jordan and the reconstruction of the Green Lantern Corps prompted Sinestro to create a core of his own. Returning to the antimatter world of Quad, Sinestro created more yellow rings and sent them out in search of the most savage beings who could instill great fear in others. Sinestro directed his corps to fight on many fronts, and then they began an assault on the Green Lantern's home planet of Oa. To stop the Sinestro Corps, the Guardians authorized the Green Lantern Corps to use deadly force, and Sinestro claimed that this had been his goal all along. Even when he was defeated, he claimed victory because he said that the now deadly Green Lantern Corps would now spread fear throughout the galaxy. Number 2. The greatest Green Lantern of all time. Long before Hal Jordan ever slipped on a Green Lantern ring, Sinestro was considered to be the greatest Green Lantern of them all. Sinestro was chosen for his honor and fearlessness. However, they were unaware that he took the ring from his predecessor and allowed him to die. The Guardians were also supremely impressed that Sector 1417, the sector Sinestro patrolled as a Green Lantern, was virtually devoid of crime. Again, the Guardians were oblivious to the dictatorial hold he had on his home world and his extreme methods of dealing with those who opposed him. Sinestro hid his true side well from them. After Abin Sur died and passed his ring on to Hal Jordan, Ganthet assigned Sinestro to mentor him in the use of the ring, and they became friends until Sinestro's true nature and criminal actions became evident, and Jordan had to stop his new friend, gaining a deadly enemy in the process. Number 1. He is the master of fear. Each Lantern Corps embraced a one-word aspect on the emotional spectrum. The Blue Lanterns embraced hope, the Green Lanterns embraced will, and the Yellow Lanterns embraced the concept of fear. Sinestro was the true master of the concept, leading every member of his corps to instill great fear in every corner of the universe. Sinestro embraced the teachings of Parallax, who he spent a great deal of time with while they were imprisoned together in the central power battery on Oa. Sinestro aided Parallax in taking over Hal Jordan and in trying to destroy Kyle Rayner's will when he was on Ion to allow Parallax to possess him. When Parallax merged with Sinestro, he put him on the physical strength level of Superman, and his energy constructs were much stronger. Sinestro had the innate ability to determine and understand the fears of others. He was also able to communicate these fears to his corps members telepathically. Sinestro also had the ability to coerce or intimidate others through fear without the use of his ring. This made him a particularly effective, if not always lawful, investigator. And that's our list. Know of any other things fans forget about Sinestro? Let us know in the comment section below. You can follow me on Twitter at DanJDurkin, and after that be sure to swing on over to whatculture.com for more lists and articles like this every single day. For now though, I've been Dan, and I'll catch you in the next one.